Hi, I'm Victor Presley. I'm here with Fred Perry of Perry Entertainment, and we're going to talk a little bit tonight about his business. Fred, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, the first question that I want to ask you, I want to talk a little bit about what Perry Entertainment does. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what services Perry Entertainment offers?
Well, Perry Entertainment is basically a networking service that brings together bands and venues. And since there's a multitude of bands and venues that I work with, it creates more opportunities for everyone involved.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about these bands and venues that you work with? Just tell us some of the bands, tell us a little bit about them,
Right.
and a little bit about each of the venues.
Some of the bands are, some of the names are Ripped, Unleashed. There's a Rush tribute band called Signals, the Terry Barrett Band. These bands vary in genre, excuse me, from classic rock to modern rock to some folk, things like that.
Okay. Now, what about the venues? You book. I'm sure you book all sorts of different venues. Why don't you tell us a little about the different venues that you book these bands at?
Some of the venues are, from anywhere from the smaller venues to, your local clubs to some of the larger clubs in Northeast Ohio. And there's, some of them are, seat 50 to 100 people, some seat up to, 400 people. So it varies, as far as the number of people you can get into the venues and just the different kind of music that each venue will like. So since there is that assortment of bands and venues, it just works out better for everyone.
Right, okay. All right, I can definitely say that. That's very, very, very cool. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got into doing this in the first place?
Well, a friend of mine is in a local band, and he had asked me to help him, manage some of the things that, other than, the onstage performance. So while doing that, I was helping him call around to some of the different venues, booking shows for him. And as I was doing that, other bands would take notice of this and said, hey, can you help us out too? So it just kind of built from there.
Okay. So during the course of your career, why don't you tell me a little bit about the different bands you booked, how successful they've been and how successful they've been with your help?
Well, take Unleashed for an example. When I started working with Unleashed, they were playing maybe 10, 12 shows a year. And right now we're currently working on about 16 shows just for the rest of this year.
Wow.
So, and then more bookings are coming. There's some pending bookings out there. So they've built up their fan base a little bit along the way, and more venues have taken notice.
Yes, that's real good. They've almost doubled the amount of shows they do a year then.
Yeah, pretty much, and we're working on tripling that.
Oh, that's good. That's real good, actually. So why should people use your services, Perry Entertainment services, as opposed to some of the other places out there? What sets you apart, makes you, ahead of the crowd?
Well, bands should use the Perry Entertainment service basically because it's a free service. They're getting free advertising on the web when I put out my promo discs. Any sort of advertising I do, they're getting that free advertising for basically free. Venues should use it for the opportunity to network with more bands in less time, such as they can make one call to me and be in contact with multiple bands rather than making all those phone calls.
Okay. Now, do you get a lot of calls from the different venues to get the bands over and over again? Is it the same venues always booking the same bands, or do you get calls from different venues for these bands?
That is both, actually. I mean, we have bands that play at a venue and then they'll call back and say, hey, we want to book these guys, 4 or 5 times for the rest of the year. And then also there'll be those new venues that'll call from seeing, the advertisement on the web saying, hey, who do you got that we can put in here? And then I'll ask them general questions about what type of music they like, things like that. And I say, well, here's the bands I have that'll work for your venue.
Okay.
So it works out pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like it. Now you mentioned your web, the demos you have on the web or something like that.
Yes.
I want you to tell me a little bit more about that, about the web portion of your operation.
Well, the web address is www.perryentertainment.com, and venues and bands alike can go there. And if you visit the page, you'll see the different assortment of the bands, a little bit about them, what they do. There'll be links to listen to some of their music, watch some of their videos, and the venues can use this also to find out about the bands and find out about the music they play and things like that.
Okay. Now, what's the best method for either bands or venues to contact you? Is that through the website, or do you have a separate way set up for that?
Through the website, there's a link there that you can send me an email. There's also a phone number they can call, 440-622-5911. Either way is good.
Okay. All right. Well, that was Fred Perry. I just wanted to thank you again for being here with us tonight.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure to have you here. And don't forget to contact him on the web or at that phone number. Tell him the phone number again one more time.
440-622-5911.
All right. Again, thanks for being here. It was a real pleasure. And I wish you all the success in the world with your Perry Entertainment.
All right. Thank you very much.